So it's Cinco de Mayo and the Kentucky Derby today. Gonna be some drunk-ass horses. Welcome, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time to talk about things on a very special episode of this vlog. We're gonna do a low note, then high note, so let's get the low out of the way first. And it's about one man, a man I greatly respect and have looked up to for years, Total Biscuit. He's been fighting cancer the last couple of years. And he's at the end now. He's at the end game. Worst way to put it. He can't be treated anymore. All they can do is manage his pain now. And I'm sure they're going to still see if there's anything else they can do, but they're at a point where it's too dangerous even to do experimental treatment. And so he's retiring from everything for the most part. He's retiring from his channels. He's not going to be doing shoutcasting anymore. He's still going to do the podcast, so he can still have some fun, and he's trying to set things up for the future, because he has a family, he has a wife, he has a son, and he's hoping that she will make content with the channels when he's gone, and then there's just other things in place to keep things going. And of course, the co-option of the show will go on without him. For as long as I've known YouTube, I've known Total Biscuit as the person I've watched. I've watched him for years, many years. It's actually Jinx who introduced me to Total Biscuit. And this is back when he had Total Halibut and the two channels. It was Major League StarCraft, but he had the WTF series, which he still has to an extent. And I've always appreciated his knowledge. He knows so much, and just how straightforward he is. He doesn't really muss over things. Is that the right word? He doesn't really fuss over things. He gives it to you straight, what he feels about things, and that they could be better. That there should be a standard. And I've always appreciated that. And I've always been a fan of that. I've always been a fan of his. And through him, I was introduced to Jesse Cox. And Jesse Cox, of course, is a favorite as well. And how long ago was it at this point? Now I gotta look it up really quick, because I keep some records. And that has to do with the channel, and that is right over... Here it is. We started the 19th of October, 2013. Jesus. The way it was... Well, just looking at things. Okay. The way it was... Total Biscuit... Just good information, great stuff with his WTF series, really like that. And Jesse Cox is, of course, very hilarious. And when they're together, they're pretty funny together. Eventually seeing the Terraria series with them, that was amazing. Of course, they're with, what was it called? The Game Station, and they had the co-optional podcast with the Game Station back then. And it was hearing, episode 6 or 5 of that podcast. Listening to that while I was at that job, where some of you know, the one that really ruined me. When I was having that job, it was not very... It should have been fulfilling, it should have been fun, but it wasn't. I was just miserable at that job. And I was listening to this podcast, and me and Jinx, we've been friends for a good number of years at that point. We were thinking of making a webcomic at the time. And because I like to write, she likes to draw, that's what we're thinking. I was listening to this podcast, of Total Biscuit, Jesse Cox, Dodger, and I can't remember who the guest was. And I just thought, I want to do this. I think we could do this. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a great thing to do. And I brought up to Jinx, and she's like, all right, well, sell me on it. And basically I had to audition to Jinx. And I was talking, there was a game I was playing at that time, that was Smite. And I was like, alright, so I was just talking about a raw game, and this happens, and here comes the audience going out, and all these things. And it was entertaining to her. I wasn't playing the game, I was just saying it all, remembering how the game goes. And it was impressive enough that she said, alright, let's try this out, let's do it. And it's because of that podcast, it's because I was such a fan of Total Biscuit, such a fan of Jesse Cox. Not much Dodger yet. But as such a fan of those two. And I wanted to do this too. And from the beginning, the channel has always been an aspiration to be something on the level of Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox. That's what the one-shot series has always been. The one-shot series has always been our attempt at the WTF series, but not as deep as that goes because I know full well I'm just not that level, or also that we would build up to that eventually, hopefully. I used to try to do the options and stuff like that, but we're like, that's too boring. No one's really interested in that. Also, we don't have the expertise on that. Because Total Biscuit always goes over the options when he did the WTF series. Like, I haven't seen his newest one, so I don't know how he's changed it at this point. But he'd always go over the options. He'd just pour over the options. Like, a sixth of his video, the time of the video, is him going over the options and everything in that, and going over graphics and FOVs and all that stuff, and 60 frames and 30 frames, just stuff like that. And so I tried to do that, but like we're not as knowledgeable, so it wasn't as good. So we eventually stopped doing that. But it's always been the idea of just showing you a game that's worth your time and worth checking out. Of course, WTF, he will cover games. Well, he'll just cover a popular game, and sometimes he doesn't actually recommend. He's like, well, here's the game, and there you go. Well, us, it's One Shot's become a recommendation series because it's not fun to play, to show off a game we don't really want you to play. And we don't need to be the ones that ward you off of a game, other people will. Scarf plays can be more so used for things that maybe you shouldn't play, or you shouldn't get, and stuff like that. But the standards of what Total Biscuit standards, and the knowledge he has, and just, he commands, like, what's the word here? Like he commands a room, kind of thing. Like, he's very, like, when he talks, you listen, kind of thing. That thing, all that about him, I've always looked up to, and he's one of the inspirations for the channel. Jesse Cox, of course, on the other side, funnier person, more affable, more entertaining, in a more comedy way. He's always been someone to look up to, too. We'll focus on Total Biscuit, but Jesse Cox, of course, a big influence as well. And I've met Jesse Cox a few times. I love talking to him. He's always so enthusiastic. He's always very supportive of people who want to do channel stuff. I've never met Total Biscuit, and I probably never will now, which is unfortunate. But just always looked up to those two. They've always been my inspiration for everything with this channel. I've always tried to be, not necessarily them, but me with their influence. That's what it's always been. And you can see where their influence is. I remember, whatever years back, I don't remember anymore, when they announced the cancer. Total Biscuit had cancer. I cried. I was very upset about that. This is the weird thing, more philosophical. It's just how you get connected to people who you've never actually met. It's, of course, a thing with celebrities, where there are people who are just so, like, oh god, like the BTS army and stuff like that, where you got people who are just so attached to, like, a band or an actor and stuff like that. They're just, their life, not really their life revolves around it, but their life is influenced by these people. And my life has certainly been influenced by Total Biscuit, to an extent, of course, with the channel and everything. They've always just been something, like, someone worth taking serious, is the way to put it. Now, there are faults, of course. Total Biscuit has said some terrible things in the past. And that's because he's someone who has fought a lot of people. So when you get in a lot of fights and get a lot of angry things, you're going to say bad things. That's going to happen. But I was affected emotionally, very much so, from the news of that. And earlier this week, the news that they can't fight it as much, like, the fight might be over at this point. It is very, very, it's a real punch to the gut. It really just deep in there. Such a feeling of, it's distraught, maybe? I think that's the right word, I'm not sure, but it's so unfortunate. Not just unfortunate, deeper words than that. Like, I can feel it just somewhere in the soul, just so not a good feeling. Of course not. Like, it's someone you look up to. It's someone I wish we were, and this will be a regret, is I wish we were big enough that we could have gotten, not necessarily acknowledgement, but we could have just met. He's like, oh, hey, here's a YouTuber or something like that. Like, I wish we got that far at this point before who knows how much time he's got left. And I hope it's as much time as possible. I'll be like as well. The vlogs are what's on my mind. This is on my mind. This is for me a very great man who's going to die at some point sooner than later. We all die, of course. We don't necessarily all know when it's going to happen. Uh, and sometimes, of course, accidents and other things happen. And at any point, an accident could have happened to him or to Jesse or to any person we look up to. Some horrific accident could just happen. We lose that person. But when there's something like cancer or some other illnesses, there's a timer on it. So it's a weird thing when there's a timer on life. Like we can all just approximate like a timer on life is maybe 100 years or something like that, or some just dying of old age. When you have cancer, there's a timer on life. Just I don't know. When you're younger, you don't think about it as much. Obviously, you're younger. Days just feel so long. Life just feels like such a long path. And what I ask myself is how do I honor someone I've looked up to for so long? And the only way is, as he puts it, the show must go on, is to just keep going and try to make something great out of what we do with the channel. Just to be something worthwhile. That's the low point of this conversation. The high point is let's talk about ambition and where we're going to go from here. The fact of the matter is, as we can all tell, it's been a downturn for like 1 to 2 years, ever since we left Smite. We did not transition as well as I would have liked. We've said all this before many times. I really wish Overwatch worked out. It did not work out. It's too bad. I really enjoyed Overwatch, but it is what it is. And I wish we transitioned better, but we didn't. So the channel has been just in a lower point. But thankfully, because of our time that we put in with Smite, we got the 10,000 subs, we got the millions of views, we got all of that. We've had attention from indies. And because of that, we've been able to keep going with the Scarf plays and the one-shots without breaking the bank, so that we're able to use ad money and donation money through Patreon and such to get the bigger games and to play the bigger games. And now that I have a job, we don't have to desperately... There's not as much of a desperation feel to it, because it was trying to get famous with the channel so I didn't have to worry about being homeless. But now that I have a job, I have to worry about being homeless. So now it's like, well, what's the channel about then? And it's been a move back towards not an urgency or making it a job, but towards making it something worth doing, making it fun, making it enjoyable for me and for the viewers. And that's what it's become. And that's why I've been hemming and hawing about indies lately, because there's been so many indies these days, and I've just been so miserable with just some of them. There's just so many bad indies, and just sifting through all that. And I feel bad about sifting through bad ones, just in like, yeah, this is not good, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. But at the end of the day, it's what it is. There's a lot of terrible games that should not be made, and they're being made. There's games that they should have been practice runs to get better. You don't sell them. You put them out for free for people like, oh, here's where you're at right now. Okay, you can get better from there. But there's just a lot of bad ones. Like, I feel like Steam needs a separate area for that, where the not as good games can be, and that they get sold through that. Like, itch.io is meant to be a place where a lot of indies are a place where they can really put their stuff out there, see if people are interested, and grow from there, and then that money they could use towards going on Steam. That's really what the idealized thought was people had with itch.io and Steam, at least some people. But instead, everything's on Steam, and so what happens is it squeezes out the really good quality games because there's just such a deluge of things, and it's unfortunate. And the hope with the one-shots and with what we do is to show you the good ones in all of that mess. But since nobody really knows who we are, how many people are really seeing them? And that's because it's just a flood everywhere. Everything's flooded. Everything's a deluge. The great deluge. I keep using that word because I like that word. There are a bajillion games out there. There are a bajillion YouTubers, a bajillion streamers, a bajillion just people writing articles. We are in a sea of things. It is flooded everywhere. How do you separate yourself from the pack? People are still able to do that, but how do you do it? And I see it. You do like new things, or you do a niche, or you do those two things I just said. That's it. Those are really what, like I said this a couple weeks ago, the YouTubers have noticed, because I am in a YouTuber group and there's people who have millions of subs, people with thousands of subs, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And the consensus I've gotten from them is they feel the best ways to go forward are these. And that is, you either do just the new stuff, but you got to deal with all the other people doing the new stuff too, so it's not an easy thing. So then it goes down to being a personality worth watching while doing all the new stuff. But then you become new personality based. And the other one is being niche based, where you're very specific in your thing. And that's what we were to an extent with Smite. We were just Smite. And we were really good with Smite. We did guides in Smite. We had really entertaining videos in Smite. We're getting thousands of views for that. And that is where we were. We're in the niche of Smite. But we're always doing other things. But that niche, of course, eventually wore me down to the point that I don't know if we'd have a channel anymore if we kept doing Smite. Because whenever I look back, I look at the balance changes of Smite, I like, damn, that would have pissed me off. That would have pissed me off. That would have pissed me off. So I'm thankful we didn't do it, but of course we don't have as much of a following because of it. So it's a give and take. What is the niche we're trying to do now? And the niche we're trying to do now, it seems to be, is more voice acting based LPs with these RPGs and Phoenix Wright and Layton, so it's more voice based there to improve my vocal abilities so that in who knows how many years these voices are better, they're more crisp, and they're good enough to get notice of more people. That's what we're doing. We're trying to forge a diamond here. That's what we're trying to do, I suppose. Maybe better was just we're trying to forge a really good sword. I don't know. Just we're trying to make something here. We're still trying to build where we are. That's what we're doing. We're still trying to grind up with that side of things. Now, with I guess that's the niche. The niche is attempt to be personality and voice. That's really what we're trying to do. At the same time, we still are trying to be the niche of indies. And we're also still doing new stuff. But we're never going to get big through the new things, I don't think. Because there's only so many games you can do, and I have a job now, so I can't just machine gun all the new stuff. So that's not a path we can really take. Now, the niche is what I'm saying, these things. It's not a specific game niche, it is a specific personality thing. And that's probably the most difficult road to take, and that's the road we're taking. But at the same time, that's the road I think we want to take, considering what we want. We're not only trying to get big and famous so that we can get the ability to do this full time. We also want a community to be built around what we're doing. The YouTubers are like, community base isn't going to work out. You're not going to be able to do that as a living, so that's unfortunate. But I think it's still possible, maybe. And the reason why I say I think it's still possible because it is the long game. It is a slow game. And it is an attempt to make something bigger and more worthwhile in the long run. I think that's really what it is. It is a community. It's always been an attempt at being a community. That's why it's always been called Scarf and Friends. It's always been called Scarf and Friends. It is me, it is you, it is everybody. Okay, I forgot Jinx. It is me, Jinx, and everybody. There we go. Me, you, Jinx. There. It sounded better in my head. Okay, so going forward, what are we doing here? And that is we're still in the forging phase. We're still in the building phase. But I am debating what I want to do with the side channel. Do I want to put more indies on the side channel and we only have the one-shots here? Or the Scarf plays good? Oh, there's also the hardcore series, which I'm enjoying so much. That is... the hardcore series is just the fun series. That's what I'm just enjoying this concept. I'm enjoying that. Jinx is thinking maybe Breath of the Wild, which that's an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea for sure. There's also apparently a Dark Souls mod where the enemy placement gets changed every time. Like, so then you can constantly just keep doing Dark Souls 1 if you want. But as much as I like Dark Souls 1, I love Dark Souls 3 more. And I think if we do a bunch of hardcores, I think I'd rather do Dark Souls 3. 3 is my favorite. It really is. One's a classic, but 3 is my favorite. Then I do want to go back to doing Terraria hardcore. I want to do a Minecraft hardcore at some point, because I don't think I'd last very long. Minecraft can go very well, it could go very not well, depending on how you do things. Well, if I'm only digging on the ground, I'm never going to get killed. So I don't know, it really depends on how I do it, or we do a survival map or something like that. Going forward with the podcast, I've just been dragging on that. I got an interview on Monday. The job interview is Monday. I get that job. We see how things go from there. It's the bigger job. It's the job that gives the potential to be a big deal in the world of water. And so that's an important job to get. And I won't be a big deal for like 10 years. But still, that's an attempt at being something else. Because, again, if I can be bigger in the working world, then that gives me more funds. And with those funds, we can actually afford to do more things. Like, with the job we have right now, I'm able to do giveaways. Here's giveaways to look forward to right now. Look forward to the My Hero Academia game. When that comes out, that's getting a giveaway. Look forward to that. Soul Calibur 6 on PC, that's getting a giveaway. Look forward to that. There's another game, Monster Hunter. When it finally comes to PC, look forward to a giveaway on that. If I get the other job, look forward to multiple giveaways on that. We know I love Monster Hunter. So, I look forward to more giveaways. But what are the giveaways are my investment into the channel. Because at the same time, you've got the ad money, you got the Patreon. So it's like, what's the point of the Patreon if Scarf's got a job? And I was like, the point of the Patreon is it's building up the ability to just have us only do the channel, have us only do internet things, to have us only be the channel instead of me having a job taken away from the channel. Because what I've discovered from having a job, which should have been obvious to me, is I can't do as much as I used to. I just can't. I can't edit anything now. Like the side channel stuff, I do light editing and then it goes out for the side channel because that's why it's a side channel. So just that stuff goes out. The main channel, Jinx is editing all of that. So I can't really do any special projects. Like the rapid fires, I'm finding myself having a hard time keeping up the rapid fires. We're supposed to have a third one out and I've dragged a month on that because I just have had other things to deal with. And it's just like, well, crap. I'm noticing that with the job, I just don't have as much free time. And so, just how much I can make suffers for that. And it becomes more, when I have a chance, just making what I can, and then relying on Jinx to do all the editing. Because I did enjoy editing when I made special projects, and it sucks not being able to edit as much. Like, all the guides were me. Those were all me editing. I did all of that stuff. And the Rapid Fires Ghost was me, and it's just, yeah, I don't have as much time. Maybe I could still edit, but it would be slower, longer processes to get whatever videos I want to make out. And that's just too bad. Then there's the podcast. I think I was already saying it. Dragging on the podcast, I get this job interview going. It's Monday. After that's done, it's hitting it hard. And when the job happens, we'll see how that changes things. But I'm going to hit it very hard. We're going to get back to the podcast. Trying to get Steve from Checkpoint on, trying to get Killer, trying to get all the usuals. And, because I really want to get Jag for sure. Jag was a freaking analyst on a Gwent thing. Jessie Cox was the host of it, that's so cool. Because she's trying to move away from Gwent because Gwent's not going to be doing updates for like 6 months. So she's got to diversify, and I really want to talk to someone about that where they're trying to diversify and change up because of something like that. That's pretty cool. Or is it a year Gwent's not going to be updated? So I really want to talk to her about just transitioning and stuff like that. And also about her when she did that. That sounds really cool. I want to hear about that. We're going to go ahead and I got to get the sound effects. Lady from Shell in the Pit, can't remember her name right now. I'm going to try, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to try to get the Cuphead composer. I'm going to try to get Cuphead developers. All those people, just somebody from there. I want to try to get some people from there. I'm going to go see other indies. I'm going to just go grab from wherever I can. I want to get more artists. I want to get cosplayers. I want to get everything. And I'm going to take the push to do it. I've really just been in a rut where I just haven't been doing these things. And that rut needs to end. That rut needs to end, because if we want to be something bigger and better, I need to do all these things. And then there is one more project. And this is a smaller project, and it's going to be a bit of a slower project. But I want this project to happen, and guess who it's about? This is something I want to do in the summer. It'd be a shorter format, 30 minutes probably, and it is a Kirby podcast. Because if there's one thing Scarf knows, is Kirby. I want to do a Kirby podcast, and it'd be in the form of two things. It'd be in the form of a watch podcast, watching a show podcast, and also just playing the games. What I want it to be, it is watching Right Back At You. It was 100 episodes long. And watching the dub, of course. And being informative about the dub, but also talking about whatever I thought about the episode, how I enjoyed it, all that stuff. That's what it would be. Maybe it'd only be 20 minutes, who knows. But just a little podcast thing, sharing and enjoying something I enjoy. Kirby. I like watching that cartoon. I've been seeing that cartoon since I was a kid. So I'm really excited about doing that. But also, every couple episodes, maybe a month or 2 months, it would also it'd be about a game. This is an excuse to play every single Kirby game. This is an excuse to play all of them. So the first one would be about the original Kirby, which is my first Game Boy game. This is going long, so I gotta stop soon. But when I was a kid, for my birthday, I got a Game Boy and the first Kirby game. That's what I got for my birthday. And I played the hell out of that. Played the heck out of that game, because of course it was my first game. But we got like Tetris, and we got other games, eventually Pokemon, all that. But Kirby was my first game. I played the hell out of it. I still have it somewhere. I still got that Game Boy somewhere. And I've been a fan of Kirby for so damn long. The cartoon came around at some point, watched that. Don't remember much, but I want to play every single Kirby game, and this is a good excuse to do it. And that podcast would be just talking about everything I can about that game, about playing it, just information behind the making of it. It would just be a big project of talking about the specific game. And then each one would be that. And those would be like special episodes, because obviously I'm also talking about the show and things about the show. That's something I want to do. That would get updated a lot slower, but that's a passion project for me that I want to do. And I want to do that after I get situated with the water job thing. That's if I get the job. If I don't get the job, things might change as well. As always, you can tell there's a lot of projects and a lot of ideas, and we'll see how they shake out. And that could always be our weakness, is that we do too many things. That could always be the weakness. But it allows us, because at the end of the day, the reason why I did this in the first place, because not only because I'm a fan of Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox, but because it was an outlet for the creativeness that my soul wanted to do. This is the part I forgot to say earlier. I wanted to make something. We were thinking a webcomic, but instead we made content. And so that's what the channel is. It is an outlet for the creative nature, the creative soul within us, to let it out. That's what it is. And because of that, the channel will always be there. It is always going to be a place to have fun and to enjoy. And it won't always be things people want to see, but hopefully they come back for things they do want to see. Or they just stick around for us. Because it's about the community as well, which I forgot I was talking about that earlier. Building the community, building friendships with our community, expanding the community to have more people included, more people to have fun about Kirby, or whatever we voice over, about whatever things. It's a grassroots idea to try to create a community from the ground up. Through the viewers who come, making friends out of them, getting more viewers, more friends, more and more and more and more and more. That is what we're trying to do here. And it's a ridiculous idea. But it is what we want to do, and that's what we're trying to do. And maybe when we're like 60, we hit 1 million subs. I don't know, but we're going to keep trying. Then again, maybe YouTube would be dead by then. It's going to be something else. Who knows? But as far as the future goes, we're in this forever. We're never going to leave this, and we're always going to be trying to make something fun, make something interesting, make something creative, and give information. The channel has always been this, and I've said this many, many times over the years. It's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be informative. And when we did Smite, we were able to do that. We were having fun videos when they were informative. We had the guides. There was so much with that. The one-shots have always been an attempt at that as well. ScarfVLOG'd is more of the fun side of things, and also just you're seeing something new. The voice work is trying to become more entertaining in a different way. The podcast, basically a podcast, is trying to be fun, but also something interesting with the interviews of the different people we've interviewed, or just having discussions about things going on. And Kirby, this is my passion thing, is just having fun talking about something that I have loved for my entire life for the most part. This little badass. This little cute badass. That is something that is fun. I love the Kirby community. There is no controversy in the Kirby community. I love that so much. The Sonic fandoms, oh my god. So many fandoms are toxic, but the Kirby fandom, everyone is just so very inviting and friendly, and it's just awesome. I love it so much, and I wish the community could be something like that too. It's just so supportive. I love it. But there you go. That was the podcast. That is the vlog. Gone very long. This channel is because of people like Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox and other things. In a way, a lot of people who are inspired by Total Biscuit, they'll be his legacy in trying to make great content, informative content, useful content. I think that's the best thing we can do to honor someone as great as Total Biscuit, and I think he's great. Some people hate him, of course. A lot of people do. He was a pioneer for his time. He is someone that I will remember. He's someone I definitely regret not meeting. And it's someone who I wish I could get their acknowledgement. But it's someone whose legacy I think is worth pushing forward. And has a legacy of standards and a legacy of knowledge. And sticking up for the indies and giving them platform. I think that's a legacy worth continuing forward. And that's what we're going to try to do as part of everything else we do. That's the vlog. I had fun talking, hope I'm watching and listening, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time. Oh my god. How many are you going to stick around to the end of this thing? See ya!